Hello my friends, welcome back to the Novice Pilot. In the last video we began our takeoff and climb procedures. So now this is going to be a short little video on what to do once you reach cruise. So this time this is a different flight. It is a flight in career mode that I am working on right now. So we have reached our cruising altitude. In this particular flight plan, the cruising altitude was only 23,000 feet or flight level 230. So now we've reached that altitude, so what are we going to do next? First thing I like to do is I do like to come down here and look at the FMC, and I try to find the lowest altitude that I'm going to be descending to. Reason being is because you need to be able to type this into your altitude hold indicator if you want to use LNAV and VNAV, or more particularly VNAV, I should say. So as we talked about in the last video, or the last couple videos, these sections here on your FMC show speed in the expected altitude. That's what the airplane is going to try to climb to. Biggest thing to remember is that if you set that, it's not going to go past it or it's not going to go below it. Meaning, when we took off from the ground, I know it was a different flight, which may have had a cruising altitude different than what we're seeing here, but when we took off and we were still on the ground and we were at the gate getting the autopilot and everything set up ready to go, we made sure the 23,000 feet was listed in here. Again, this is going to be the altitude it's going to go to. This VNAV, or vertical speed, is how it's going to get there. So now once we're at cruise, we'll go down here and we'll start to see that as we go along here on our route, the airplane is going to start to descend on its own. If we did not change this, if we left that at 23,000 feet, the airplane may see that it has to descend, but at the same time it sees here that you have an altitude hold set of 23,000 feet. It's not going to descend on its own at that point. So make sure once you get to cruise, again, beginning pilots, what I like to do is I like to come down here, go to the very last page, and I like to see where my runway is going to be. Or, I'm sorry, this is the last page, second last page. I like to see which runway we're going to be landing on here, which is runway 34 right at our destination. And you can see that the runway altitude is 56, but this is going to be our final waypoint here of 1,600 feet. And you'll see that once we get to that position and we start putting on the localizer mode and approach mode, it will then override that altitude hold. So again, just please be sure you do that, because I've heard a couple folks that I've been playing with or that I have been speaking to say, you know, I'm reaching my top of descent, which will be listed on here. Let me see if I can, it might be too far out for you all to see that. Oh, nope. So this green emblem here is top of descent. Once your aircraft logo, which is here, reaches this top of descent, the airplane is going to start to descend on its own. That's where, again, we could compare it to the flight management computer, and you see that at that waypoint, PBRI, if you want to call it that, PEBRI, you can see here it's going to start to descend down below our cruise altitude of 23,000 feet. This here, a lot of people have also asked, what is this flight level 220A? It just means above, so flight level 220 or above, and the flight management computer will be satisfied. Not on this flight, but sometimes you even see a big long string of, say, 18,000 feet. I believe it's between, or some sort of prefix for between in there as well. And again, that just tells the airplane to hold an altitude between those two. But again, if this is not changed, if this is held on your cruise altitude, even if you reach top of descent, it's not going to do anything. Also, once we're at cruise, we can go ahead to add some more realism to it. If you are experiencing some good skies, you can go ahead and flip off your fasten seatbelt sign. That way the passengers, the make-believe passengers in the back, can move out of their seats and move around the cabin. Also, 10,000 feet is when you can go ahead and flip off your landing lights and taxi lights. And again, at 10,000 feet, you may also want to give them a ding as well. So that is all for our cruising altitude portion of this. As we get closer to setting up the approach, we'll go ahead and show you how to do that. Until next time, folks, thanks so much for checking us out. If you are getting anything from these videos, please go ahead and like and subscribe. I have been getting some decent amount of subscribers here in the last couple weeks, so I do certainly appreciate that. As always, folks, stay safe, and we'll see you in the skies.